What's going on, everybody? Patrick Auger here. Drake Riggs joining me. And we're talking about Dustin Poirier saying that he's eyeing a McGregor fight or a Diaz fight for his next bout. He said he's okay to actually step away and let Chandler and Oliveira fight, maybe even for the belt he's hinted at, really. And he wants exciting fights that make sense. Drake, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, exciting fights and making sense with, this line of thinking, they don't really go hand in hand, in my opinion, because a Nate Diaz fight specifically makes no fucking sense at all. McGregor trilogy, I think that makes a lot more sense, because of course Dustin's reasoning is like, yeah, we're 1-1. That's the big money fight. That would be a huge trilogy. But again, you could say, well, he just knocked him out. He beat him pretty clearly. Yeah, he lost the first round, you could say, but he knocked him out. Like a great game plan, all this stuff. Move on. You deserve to fight for the title, Dustin. What are you doing? As opposed to an Nate Diaz fight, which I get where he's coming from with that one too, in regard to that was made at a point, UFC 230, if I'm remembering correctly. Didn't end up happening. Never needed to happen in the first place, though. Nate Diaz is, in terms of a meritocracy, the grand scheme of rankings and making logic in any UFC division, he is very irrelevant, I think. And he only fights once every so many years. And outside of Anthony Pettis and I guess Conor McGregor, he's not really too competitive with people. And you just look back at the Masvidal fight, for example. That was a very clear beating. I had two 10-8s in the first two rounds. There was at least one of them in there I know that was, I think, official. I think maybe the first round. Either way, Nate Diaz, I don't see being competitive with these top-level guys. And of course, you could say, oh, well, Masvidal, welterweight, yada, yada. But look at Dustin Poirier, for example. There's no convincing you can do to me, tell me that he would put up a fight. I don't think that would be a good fight, an exciting fight. It would be exciting in the sense that you're seeing a man get beat up very badly. I think that Poirier, that would be a walk in the park for him and a great move if you do want to make that money in a more high profile fight than, let's say, I guess anybody that's not named Conor at lightweight. So yeah, I get why you'd want that. It's a bummer as a hardcore and like somebody who is a purist, right, and wants to see things play out logically and have this man fight for the title, which he also deserves, as opposed to, an easy payday, as essentially.
Yeah, it's, Diaz in particular is an interesting one. And I think the reasoning here is this, right? Poirier going after the McGregor trilogy makes all the sense of the world. As I've brought up on the Fight Business podcast, if you haven't checked it out, you can go ahead and check it out. Yeah, shameless self-plug.
Shameless.
I went back and forth for a while on how you should match up everybody in the lightweight division. But the one that makes the most sense from Poirier's perspective is a McGregor trilogy. Because if McGregor fights anybody else, say it be Diaz, say it be Tony, and he loses, that trilogy with Poirier is probably gone. Right? It's probably gone unless Poirier ends up fighting and losing as well. And in Poirier's mind, I'm sure he thinks he's going to, continue to win the belt, all of that. So he's probably viewing it that way of, okay, I need to get a big money fight now. And I think he kind of mentioned Diaz as a side thing. Honestly, I think that was more of a, like, I want this type of fight, but really I can't imagine he's not gunning for the McGregor rematch because that's still the biggest payday. And yes, it's a tougher test than I think Diaz would be. I'm with you there. I'm not sure the Diaz fight would be extremely competitive, but it's also by far the biggest money-making opportunity. If he fights Diaz, headlines a pay-per-view, great. But at the same time, we also don't know what Diaz's drawing power is since he's lost to Masvidal, right? I would imagine it would still do well, but it's still nowhere near what Conor could do. The other key factor in why I am 99% positive that Poirier is gunning for the McGregor trilogy is people haven't really talked about this too much. But remember, Cerrone didn't get pay-per-view points for his McGregor fight.
Right.
He didn't. And he came out and said that. I'm not 100% sure that Poirier got pay-per-view points for this. I easily could see him not. I know he got it. I think they had disclosed purses. I don't know how accurate they were. I think he said $1 million. And Poirier said on the Ariel Helwani show that he was, happy. Him and his family were happy about their compensation. But I would not be shocked at all if Poirier got no pay-per-view points because he wasn't interim champion when this happened or anything like that. And now he's angling for the rematch and part of the reason he's angling for give me my crown, I'm the champ, because he knows that comes with pay-per-view points. And I would imagine if he does the rematch, he's going to insist on that in the contract if it's not already there. So I think from a business perspective, it's Poirier just playing the smart game. And a Diaz fight is not that appealing, but it's also, again, if you could make a bunch of money fighting Nate Diaz and you just knocked out McGregor and you're confident in your stand-up, would you turn down that payday?
No. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world from a prize fighter perspective, right? Like, get the highest, get the money, get in, get out, kind of thing. That's the easy fight to do right there, and the one that you would want. And for him, it doesn't look as silly of a thing to call for because of the fact that they were booked once before. If he just randomly threw this out there, I think he'd probably be getting, a bit more shit than I'm sure he's probably getting some shit as is for this. It's hard to give Dustin Poirier shit though, I would say in general, but MMA fans will find a way. So it doesn't look as bad as opposed to if you just like, yeah, you know what? I want to fight Nate Diaz now. You're like, wait, what? What? Like, I get it, but come on, man. Like, did you see what Michael Chandler just did? Heard of this guy, Charlie Oliveira, right? That's his name. Put one on the counter for me. So I get it, but it is very disappointing. I got you with that one. It's very disappointing from a purist standpoint. It is not something I at all want to see next. If it happens, yeah, I'll still watch, but like, in a division that's as good as lightweight, right? Like, this stuff kills you. This stuff just kills you. In the McGregor trilogy, well, what you got?
well, because here's something I want to pose to you.
Okay.
So you're talking from a purist standpoint, correct?
Yep.
This has run through my head a couple of times since the fight happened. Nate Diaz fought more, I guess higher level. You could argue in some respects fight higher level competition than McGregor did more recently, right? He beat Pettis, and then he lost to Masvidal, but that was higher level competition. Pettis has beaten Cerrone recently. Again, they had a rematch not that long ago where Pettis won that fight. Closer, but still. McGregor knocked out Cerrone. That's all good. But in terms of a purist standpoint, McGregor hasn't had a win in the lightweight division since 2016, and his only win in MMA since 2016 was against Donald Cerrone. Whereas at least Diaz has a Pettis win, right? Is it that much of a difference in terms of actual merit between the two?
I like what you're throwing at me. I do. And it's funny you mentioned that because, like, for example, I don't have Conor ranked in my personal lightweight rankings, and I don't believe he should be ranked because of literally what you just said. Like, the guy has done more losing at lightweight than he has winning in the past 4 or 5 years now, like, which is crazy.
He's been at lightweight. Because he only fought Alvarez, and then, so since the UFC, that is. I mean, Cage Warriors is different, but in the UFC, yes, he's lost more than he's won.
It's pretty crazy to think about. But then also, if you want to spin that, I do like your points, but if you want to look solely at lightweight, then Nate hasn't been fighting at lightweight either. So the guy who's been fresher at lightweight, Conor, yes, losing still. I guess it's pretty even now that you mention it, but now you mention it.
Yeah, I would give the edge to McGregor, but not that much. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, Poirier just got the win over Dan Hooker before this. And of course, before that, got beat by Khabib, as you do, and then knocks out Conor McGregor. I think that realistically, the Conor win shouldn't have or do as much for you because of what we're just saying right there. In a purist standpoint, looking at it that way. But the fact that it's how he beat him, right? Like if he would have went out there, decisioned him, and let's say a competitive fight, of course, that doesn't look as good. He beat him about the best way that he possibly could have, because we've seen Conor submitted, we've seen him dominated. We've seen him outstruck by Nate Diaz in the first fight and everything. They had the very competitive second fight. We've seen everything except for him being knocked unconscious. That was a big deal. That made the win a lot better than, he could barely get by a guy who, hasn't won at lightweight since 2016, right? So the case there changes a lot because of the performance that Poirier put on, I think. Yeah, I don't know. You might have got me there. You might have got me there, though. Either way, I still don't think Nate Diaz should be in this conversation with these fighters whatsoever. More so with Conor. Like, I think that the Conor Nate trilogy fight, that's one that I wouldn't be mad at. They're kind of in their own world right now until, I guess even if Conor loses, depends on a lot of what's going to happen next with him. But yeah, it's that's definitely interesting when you look at it that way.
Yeah, it's hard not to, and it had crossed my mind at some point after the fight, and yeah, they kept the number 4 next to his name, and that's, again, we can go down a whole video of just that, but yeah, I think Poirier going after these fights again, I think it's all about the money. I get what he's doing, especially I think he's really angling. I think he mentioned Diaz to mention Diaz as an option, right? So he gets a little bit more leverage on the table, or at least doesn't appear desperate of, I need the trilogy, right? I can't imagine he's angling for anything other than Conor in reality behind closed doors. So if you haven't subscribed to us yet, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button on this video. Make sure you hit the notification button to know when we're dropping the hottest content, the latest content, things like this. To watch me bring up points and then have Drake go, oh, well, maybe, or vice versa, because he just is me. It's rare. It is rare when I get Drake, so I'm pointing it out. He usually gets me. It's usually the other way around. So I'm pointing it out. But also, let us know in the comments how you feel about Poirier's decision to call out McGregor and Diaz. Do you think those are the fights to make? Do you think he should be fighting somebody like Michael Chandler or Charles Oliveira for the belt? Should Charlie Olives really, be going up against Dustin Poirier in a title fight? Is that really what should be happening? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. With that in mind, Drake, anything else to wrap this one up?
Yes, Charlie Olives for lightweight title 2021. That is the best way to close out here.
Still, yeah, you did make that prediction, so we're going with it. Charlie Olives. I got more than you.